everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. I'm going to continue with my fall projects, and I'm going to be doing minimal projects to introduce us into fall. So today I'm going to show you how I took this tray and created this fall wall decor. Alright everyone, so let me tell you what the supplies are going to be to create my fall wall decor. I'm going to be using this little tray. I found this at Hobby Lobby on clearance. I just paid a couple of bucks for it. I thought it was pretty good for a wall decor. It is very light, so you want to use something like this. It's very light. It doesn't have to be see-through like mine. It can be something solid. Just make sure that you'll be able to put something on the back so that you can hang it on the wall, whether it's gluing it on there, tying it, or even possibly nailing or stapling it on there. Okay, so this is my little tray. I'm going to be using these flowers right here in this little bundle here. This I got from Hobby Lobby as well. You can get your items from wherever. You can find things even at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so here we go. This is the flowers that I'm going to use. I love the colors on it. It is very muted. It's still summer, but I'm going to go transitioning into fall. So I kind of like these colors so I don't have to bring in too much orange, which I happen to love. So I am going to include some of it, but I'm going to do it in like a burnt, almost brown orange. So I have a little bit of these kind of like maple leaves here, and then these ferns here. Now I'm not going to use all of this. I'm just going to use a little bit from these two bushes. I just need to add some filler. And then I've got this other tone of leaves. These are green, and they have like a little bit of a maroon touch to them. I thought they were perfect for filling in, and they go really well with the green that's already on here. So everything coordinates really nicely. Okay, I'm also going to be using this ribbon. This was a bow from another project. I am going to be reusing it somehow in my arrangement. I don't know if I'm going to make another bow or just use a little bit of the ribbon in there. I've also got some twine because I'm going to use this to create a little hanger so I can hang it from the wall with this. And I've got my hot glue gun, some glue sticks. I've got some floral wire, scissors, and my wire cutters ready here. So let's get to crafting. Alright, so the first thing I'm doing is removing any tags that are on there. And then I also noticed that this little handle is a little bit loose. I'm not going to be using it as an actual tray, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue it down. So you want to check your tray and see if there's any little cracks, anything loose, especially if you've got it at a thrift store. You want to make sure that you've washed it, or maybe you had it stored away somewhere and you're thinking, I know the exact item I'm going to use. But you got to do some cleaning, so you got to prep it first. So basically that's all the prepping I'm going to do to that, and that's ready to go. Okay, so now I want to use these flowers. So all I'm doing is taking apart this beautiful bouquet and removing the price tag and anything that's tying it together. I'm separating all of these stems. There we go. That's done. Okay, so I have this little bit of green from the bush that I had cut off before, and I didn't use it, so I'll use it now. And I think this is a good amount. If I need more, I'll cut some more from the bush. And then I'm going to cut a few stems of this beautiful kind of rustic or burnt orange leaves. I'm going to cut a couple of these. This one has these little berries on there, and this one has a little pine cone on there, little wispy bits of twig here. So I'll use that. So for now, that's what I'm going to cut off. Okay, and so for my fern bush, I'm also going to be using a few of these stems. So I'm going to cut off a branch of the leaves, and I'm just going to set that aside. Everything else I can put it away. If I need some, I will take some from that. But here I've got my greenery, and then I've got flowers, and then within that bouquet there was a pumpkin that's lovely and some little berries. So I think my arrangement will look really lovely. Okay, let's get to putting it together. Okay, so I'm going to start deciding what flowers I want to put in and what pattern. I'm going to hold it like this, so this will be the bottom of my wall decor. Now you can decide that you want to just decorate the bottom, maybe just the side or just the top part, or maybe just fill it all the way around. That's going to be up to you. I'm going to do, I think, the bottom, maybe a little bit up on the side here. I think it would make a nice and lovely arrangement that way. So I'm putting this as if you were working on it so that you can see how I'm doing this. I've got some little pieces of wire cut off here on the side. They're 4, 5, or 6 inches long. It all depends on what you need. But I've got a few pieces of those cut up, and the reason that I do is because if this was solid, I could just hot glue the things onto here. But you know, it's not very much surface to do that, so I've got the wires ready just in case I need to wire things down, which I probably will do. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how high I want a flower to come up on my arrangement. So I'm going to place one right here and look at it. But I always want to bend the flower forward so that we can see it facing forward like that. Okay, so I kind of like this, and I'm going to go ahead and curve this a little bit also to kind of mimic the shape of the tray. And there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pieces of wire, and like this one's a little long, but it's better to cut them a little longer than what you think you're going to need, and you can just trim. So this one, I'm just going to reach around as much wire as I need to bring it up, and then twist an end on there, and then the remainder of the wire I can trim it and use it a little bit lower, and I'll do that over here and twist that. Okay, so what you want to do also is you want to make sure that the wire ends are not sticking out or sticking out behind. If this, like if you have an open tray like I do, but they're not sticking out from the back where they could scratch up your wall or your door. So you want to make sure that those are pressed down, and you can use some pliers for that. And just push those down. And of course, you don't want them poking up, so you don't poke your fingers. Okay, so that's my first flower that I've decided where that's going to go. And I actually have 3 flowers here, so I'm going to take another flower, and I'm going to decide across the bottom how far out I want it to go. And of course, I want it to reach all the way over here. So I'm going to do the same thing where I bend the flower a little bit so that it's sticking upward rather than, you know, to the side. So I'm going to bend that, curve it to mimic my tray, place it right there, and I'm going to tie that down as well. And then I'm going to take this flower, and I want it down here somewhere as well. So I think I can trim this stem a little shorter. So let's cut that off. And bend. And I want it about right here. Somewhere in the middle. Actually, I think I want it a little bit more this way because I am going to put a pumpkin right there. So that'll balance that out. Okay, so now I want to wire this flower and this flower down, and as soon as I'm done wiring it, I shall be back. Okay, so I've wired them down, and now to keep them to sort of like keep them from flopping around in case I didn't wire them tight enough, I'm adding some glue in there. Okay, so that's my little pattern, and as you can see, I have a triangle right here, which I have formed. So I mentioned the triangle, and I use a triangle a lot when I'm doing my floral arrangements. So if you see some of my previous videos, you'll notice me saying forming a triangle. So that's my little triangle right here. Okay, so now I want to fill in the triangle. I want to put a squash right about right here, and I want to put it kind of high. I don't want to put it right up against the bottom. I want to put it a little bit high, and as you can see, then I can fill in between all of that. So this is where that's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. I don't need it to be that long, and now I need to wire the pumpkin right here. Alright, so my pumpkin has been wired, and now I'm just adding some glue to keep it from moving around, and this is what I have so far. Okay, so now I just want to fill it in. I'm going to start adding some of these leaves in there. So I've got this little bit here, so I'm going to just trim one of the branches off at the lowest point there, and then this one as well. So I've got these little clusters of leaves. I can wire this one down right here, this one underneath here, and this one going up right here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to put this first one down. I said I could just wire them down, but I'm actually going to weave it through some of the wire that's already there, the little end of it, and then just fold that upward kind of create like a little hook. So I'm just bending the stem of the little branch of greenery that I add here. And then we can add some glue in there to make sure that it doesn't move around. There we go, that'll be good. We'll fix these leaves in a moment, these little loose bits, once I decide what could go under them. Okay, so then the next one, I decided that I was going to put it right here. And I can slide it in the same wire. Okay, so now I can go ahead and glue that a little bit there as well. So basically I'm gluing it to the stem of this flower because it has a nice thick stem like this, so I can add some glue on there so the other stem is laying against it, it'll glue there. Okay. All I'm doing is I'm basically maneuvering this in a curve that where I think I want to put it, which is right on here. But it doesn't have a, well, it does have a little bit of a stem here that I can insert, but there's no wire piece anywhere there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now wire this one down because there is no wire for me to stick that in through. At least not in the position where I'm laying it down. Okay, so I feel like one piece of wire is enough for that, for this one. So I'm just going to go ahead now and also put some glue. And right up against the stem, so it glues down to the other stem. I think these are all fine, so there we go, just like that. All right, we can start filling some more in. Now I want to put the ribbon, and I think I'll do a small bow. So I'm just going to get a little bit of a tail, twist this, the pretty side up, make a loop. As a matter of fact, I can see here where it's been marked where loops already were from a bow, so I'm just going to follow that size. I think I'll just do 3 loops. Take a piece of wire and just tie my bow. And then I just take the ends. You could wire these ends around the basket, but if, let's just say, there's nowhere to wire it down or tie it down, we just make a little bit there. So you just roll down the wire, twist it into itself, and then we're going to put some hot glue there so we can then hot glue it down. And there's a nice chunky piece here where there's a stem and a piece of the basket tray, and I'm just going to hot glue it there. And I'm going to let that dry before I do anything more to this bow, before I try to do any fixing of it. So just leave it like that. That fills up that little spot really nicely. Okay, so I've got plenty of these little stems that have these berries, and I kind of want them to stick out coming from behind the back of this flower here. So I'm going to curve this. So I want it back here behind this flower. So first I'm going to decide where it goes, and then I can decide that, okay, I can trim this off and wire it down. So I'm just going to put it there for now, and then I'll wire it down. And I think I want another one going out beyond this flower over here. So I just need a bit of this to tie. So I'm going to cut this off. I'll bend this forward a little bit, curve this up, and that'll go right about here. And I've got one more, and I want this one to kind of come up behind the pumpkin like that. So I just need about so much stem, and I'll trim this off. And this will get wired down as well, right there. Wire down, and then I'll add some glue. So I'll be back once that is done. Okay, so there we go. I've got these little berries all done here. So I'm going to add some more items. And I've got these little bits that are still left from that same bouquet. I can decide to add those or maybe just save them for something else. I think it's looking really lovely, but I want to add those burnt oranges and those browns for my ferns and then these maple leaves. So I'm going to start with the ferns, and I love this brown one, so I'm just going to cut it. At this point, I don't really need to wire things down. I basically can just hot glue them down on top of these stems that are already existing here, or even on the edges of the bamboo of my little basket here. Like I said, if you're using a flat tray where you don't have, where you can wire things down, then you can just hot glue it down. Okay, let's see. I want to cover these stems right here. I don't need it to be that long, so I'm actually going to trim this. And I'm just going to trim a few little leaves at the bottom here, just so it can get tucked in really nicely here. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of sticking it between stems. That's a good place for it. So now I can just go in there and hot glue it down. And add some glue to the little stem bit here and tuck it back in there. Actually adding a little bit of glue on this little handle to glue it down right here. And then I can bring these leaves, and now this is already, the glue is already dry. I can maneuver my flower, any leaves, so that they're facing the way that I want them to. There we go. There we go. That one's good. That's good too. Okay. Let me add some more fern. I'm reaching in here for the brown ones. I really like those. Okay. This is a nice short one, so I don't have to do too much trimming to that. Let's add a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to tuck it in here behind these guys. Kind of lead it behind these little branches here. And then I can add some glue back here. So not only is it being glued at the little tip of the stem where I stuck it in, but somewhere back over here as well, so it doesn't move around. It stays right where I want it. Look how pretty that's already looking. Okay, so I can decide to add more ferns if I want, but I'm going to go ahead and go to these little stems. And what I'm going to do is, like the pine cone, I'm going to pull these off. This little pine cone that's on here with these little leaves, I'm just going to trim the stem here. Where's my wire cutters? Right over here. And I want to tuck it in right there. So all I have to do is just put some glue on this little stem. And again, I folded it a little bit. I bent it a little bit. Not folded, but bent. So that the pine cone is not like flat and just, you're only going to look at it from above. You can look at it from the side. So now I'm going to put some glue here. And then I'm actually going to stick it right along the center of this fern leaf right here. And I'm making sure that when I'm tucking it in, that stem is hiding behind the sunflower here. So there we go, that happened there. And then I've got the little twiggies here, and these little leaves here, and then I've got this other one here. I'm going to remove the bottom parts. Trim that off. Add some of these leaves right about here. So again, I'm going to put glue on the stem, and that'll get glued onto the stem of this little berry thing here, and a little bit of the pumpkin stem as well, because they're right next to each other. So you're basically just looking for little blank spots to fill in. Okay? So now I can take these leaves, for example, and if I look at it from under here, this here looks pretty bare, and I can see all those wires. So I'm going to put these leaves, and I can cut them off so they're like separate bits. There we go. I'm going to glue these leaves at the bottom here to cover all those wires. Let's put this a little bit closer to you. And just glue them on. Put them at different little angles to make sure that they are covering something. So I'll cover the wire under there. So I'm going to do the same thing along down here, and I've got more of these leaves, so I'll continue doing that and I shall be back. Okay, so I still have a few bits here that I can use. So I'm going to use this little bit here, and I've cut it off the stem. I'm going to put that right in the center of the bow here, just to kind of fill in right there. This ribbon here, it's burlap, and for some reason I thought I had wire and I could shape it, but I can't. So this is all I can do with this. It's kind of just stays as is. So I'm going to add something in the middle because I can't push the loops too close together. They won't stay, they'll just separate. So I'm just going to glue that right in there to fill in that little space there. And I went ahead and I added another fern leaf right here, just to give it a little bit more height over here and bring some of that orange over here. So I don't think I need those. I've been kind of looking at the berries and trying to see where I could put them, but I do have enough of these right here, so I don't feel like I need any more. I don't think I need any more brown anywhere. I do like this little twiggy bit, and I think I'm going to place it right underneath this sunflower on top of those leaves. So let's get some glue on it first, and then just tuck it in there. There we go. Alright, so now we want to put a piece of twine here so we can hang our arrangement. Just making sure that these are the sides so I can find the center here. So I'm going to cut about 12 inches of twine and just tie it on here. Or like if you had to hot glue it from behind, or even maybe even nail it or staple it. But thankfully, because this is just an open basket, I can just tie it on. Okay, so I've tied it there, and now I'm going to make another double knot up here as I create like a little loop here, and the loop will just depend on where you're going to hang it from. So just make your loop the size that you need it. Maybe you need a small little loop for, you know, a little nail or a little tack. And if you have a wreath hanger, maybe you want to hang it from. Or maybe you want to hang it from something that's already existing, but it's going to hang too high, so just give it a nice long string. And if you don't want to use string, you can use a ribbon to make a nice big loop to hang it from as well. Okay, so there we go, everyone. My wall hanging is finished. All right, everyone, there is my completed project. I think it looks really good. I feel like this will go great with a boho design, a farmhouse, or even a shabby chic. So you just pick the colors that you want and find a nice little lightweight tray to decorate and hang on your wall. Maybe you have something that has some wording on it and you want to hang it up. Just don't hide it with any of the flowers. Work around it if it has a nice message on there. So anyhow, I think it looks great. So this is a great introduction to fall by starting off, you know, a little bit minimal. We're not making something too grand or too colorful. Just some nice muted tones, and we can work our way into fall. So if some of you are working on projects that you plan on sell, this is the time to get started. All right, everyone, I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and please, I am asking you to please give me a big old thumbs up. So hit that like button. And make sure you leave a nice comment down below and let me know what you think of my project. Are you going to be doing something similar? Are you inspired to do something else? Let us know. Make sure you follow my Facebook page, Trisha's Creations. You can post your pictures of your projects or even ideas or recipes that you want to share with everyone else on that page. All right, everyone, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I want to thank everyone who has been subscribing. And after you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified of my videos, which is twice a week. Be kind, respectful, and spread the love. Share on your social medias. And as always, enjoy.